They also recommended that there must be self-regulation. That means the religious sector must regulate itself. They must come up with a mechanism of how they are going to regulate themselves. And another recommendation was that there must be a code of conduct, which they will develop as the religious sector. But we also brought in the issue of morality into this whole thing. That's why we brought in the moral regeneration movement, because we felt we needed to keep the issue of the moral fiber of society high on the agenda, since what is happening in the religious sector seems to be a moral problem. When you violate the rights of people in your church, it's a moral breakdown. So they're also part of the umbrellas and the big churches that are there. So we are very much clear that the CRL Rights Commission will not be involved, except as a secretariat. There is no state regulation in this process, and it's fully not against any section of the Constitution, that there's no violation of any section of the Constitution, that this is about self-regulation and not about anything else, that their freedom of religion is guaranteed as per Section 15 of the Constitution. There is no law, because this is the only sector that does not have self-regulation. And it's the only sector where you can just open up a church anytime, anywhere. Once you have a tent, you have a sound system and chairs, you open up a church. You don't need to register anywhere. As an individual, you are not vetted, but you are working with children. The Children's Act of this country is very clear. If you are going to be working with children, you must go through a vetting process. How do you then vet people who are not registered anyway? You could have a pedophile who came out of jail 2 months ago, who then decides, oh, let me open up a church. Who's going to be protecting those children in that church? There's no way of vetting anyone. We've met with some of them. They said, yes, vetting is a good thing to do. How do you vet someone you don't know, let alone get to their fingerprints? And if you find that they've already come out of jail or found guilty of child molestation, what then do you do? So we got to a stage where the religious sector was supposed to be running with this. Because at some point, there must be a group of people who are Christians, senior Christians, who are sitting somewhere to say, you can't be one of us at some point. It's the peers who should be dealing with those things, to call the religious leader to say, stop this thing you're doing. Allow people to take their medication. Families have buried their loved ones because of that. Well, there's this other things like feeding people with petrol, grass, snakes, anything you can think of. Even there, they're not breaking any laws in that process.